What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fitness for Life podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Lohr, and today I have with me Bryan Fitzsimmons. Bryan is a buddy of mine that we got connected through other personal training friends. So, Bryan, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. Really happy to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for a conversation. Something I typically like to hear from my guests as they come on, and just I think it's important for everybody to hear everybody's story, because it provides color to hey, where does everybody come from? Because not everybody comes from the same place. A lot of people either are athletes or have their own transformation story. So like for you, what was it? How did you get started into fitness, and what led you to where you are now?
Yeah, so I'll try and keep it short because I know that these origin stories can last a while.
Yeah.
But to condense it, basically grew up a fat kid, but we always had muscle and fitness magazines around the house. So I always had that image in my head, like I want to be big and strong. And then comes high school football, and I'm like, here we go, weight room time. And then
Yeah.
got super strong, really got confident, and then carried it all the way through to college. And then I was trying to get on a fire department, and I'm like, I got to do something to pay the bills in the meantime. So I decided to just pick up personal training. So did that. And my first job was at a place called Get in Shape for Women, which is basically like a Curves for anybody who knows what that is. Basically a very female centered gym atmosphere. And I had the time of my life. I loved it. So like I'm training all these 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old women shooting the shit. Like I'm a 20-year-old guy, and I'm like, I think these are my people. So
I bet
when
they're loving you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a blast. And then unfortunately that company was going a little bit south, so I found other employment, and the place that I landed on next was a place that literally only focused on the 40 plus population.
Okay.
And they had an athlete program too, but honestly like I did the program cuz I had to sometimes, but my people were the 40 plus, like the adults, and I'm like I just want to do as much of that as possible. So eventually went off on my own. Now I'm doing my own online and in-person thing and been having a blast.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for kind of giving us that look into how you got started, and what you've been doing, and how long again did you say you've been training at this point?
That first job was in 2015,
Okay.
so going
Awesome.
on 9 years.
Almost, I was gonna say almost 10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. One of the things that we were talking a little bit about before, and I really want to dive into, early, is, kind of the intersection of the people you serve, and the people that I serve. So primarily, I'm most of my clients are women. Most of my clients are women in their 50s and above. And for a lot of them, they have kind of delayed taking care of themselves or delayed doing, I will say, doing the hard work to take care of themselves, for a long period of time. And, as I've become a father, I'm beginning to understand how that can be, because you're just not thinking about yourself in the same way. But, you were talking about, it'd be cool to explore some of the challenges that the moms face, the people that you serve face. So talk to me about that and how you can go, 10, 20 plus years without, um, serving yourself in the best way possible.
Yeah, this is one of those things that as a young trainer I really didn't understand, but as I'm getting older and everything, it's starting to sink in where it's like the best and worst thing about moms is the fact that they will literally give every part of themselves to for their kids, as long as their kids have the upbringing that they are trying to give them and make sure that they're as happy as possible, which is incredible. It's admirable, but
Yeah.
it doesn't provide a lot of longevity or a lot of overall happiness when it comes to the side effects of doing that to the extreme.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't mean that they can't get the best of both worlds, because what happens a lot of times is they'll put their fitness on the back burner, nutrition on the back burner, and they're like, listen, priority number one is little Johnny getting to all of his games and getting all the toys at Christmas and all that stuff, being on travel teams, and nothing is left for mom. So what happens a lot of times when we start making some space for mom is now we've got more energy. and that energy goes towards the kids, where it's like,
Mm.
okay, now I can be more present. And then when nutrition starts getting impacted and they're like, okay, I'm actually like starting to feel a little bit better, look a little bit better. Now I'm getting more pictures with my kids, which I wanted to be doing for years. And I'm kind of upset that I didn't up until this point, but now I have the confidence to do that. And these little changes are like not taking away from the kids, but it's providing more time with them and better quality time with them. So it's a
Yeah.
really crazy shift that happens, and it's incredible to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, the way you frame it. And this is, the reality that's hard for some people to recognize is like when you are taking care of yourself, even in the short term, but especially in the long term, like you're able to actually spend more time, with your kids. You're able to spend more time and more of your energy on, the things that you want to do from a family's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's nearly impossible to see in the moment. Like unless you've experienced it and you have someone, say a parent or family member or really close friend who has modeled that really well for you and you've seen it firsthand, like that's really hard for some people to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
Most people to grasp.
Yeah, because the thing you alluded to is the fact that like it sets these habits up for the kids too. Like without even thinking about it, you're giving them the gift of a positive role model of
Yeah.
not feeling anxious when they go to the gym, of feeling comfortable when they go to a grocery store to be like, I know what mom used to get me, so now I'm going to get those things.
Yeah.
Like it's this transition of values, and it's incredible because even though you don't realize it's happening, it's like the kids are always watching. They're soaking everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that definitely true. One of the things that me and my family have started to do is like a family workout night, where my sister and her son, and her husband, they'll come over and they'll work out with us, and getting to see her like take that step for the first time as a mom. Like she didn't really do a whole lot of that right out of the gate, when she was in college or beyond. But seeing her take that first step, as a mom doing it, and then watching, it got to the point where my nephew Daniel, he literally would, throw a small tantrum if he was at our house and he didn't work out. So I was like, all right, we don't want him doing that, but it's really cool to see just how highly he values that and that
Yeah.
time with us. And it's like, all right, cool, that's gonna stick.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing that, and and that was we only did that for a few, 4 or 5 months, before we ended up having to stop because of pregnancy complications on both sides. My wife and my sister were
Don't you just
pregnant.
love when life just happens? It's
Yeah.
like everything's going great, and then bang, something happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and as someone who knows a lot about the body, that's where my expertise ends.
Yep.
Is when it comes to pregnancy. I'm trying to think through all the different things that I can do to help my wife and my sister. And it's like, it's outside of my expertise. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want
That's
to do it.
the next certification I'm very much looking forward to getting, because right now I'm in the process of the menopause certification through Girls Gone Strong, and I
Yeah.
got their pre and postnatal, and I'm like, it's right around the corner. Looking forward to that one. Hopefully,
Yeah.
just in time for my own, but that's a few years down the road, so got plenty of
Okay.
time.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So, within the realm of having moms take those steps,
Mhm.
and what are kind of the first things that you look for, and you're saying, okay, hey, this is the baby step number one that we can take, that is gonna really start this cascade of actions that's going to be helpful for you, to get you in a place where you can take care of yourself better. Talk me through that.
Yeah. The very first thing is bringing awareness, because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. So, first and foremost is getting them to understand exactly what we're putting out and what we're putting in. So when it comes to calories, for example, I'm going to put in their basal metabolic rate, which is like as low as I'd ever want them to go. But I'm like, don't track with the intention of hitting this number perfect, because you want more. But
Yeah.
it's basically don't be below this. And a lot of times they
Right.
actually struggle not getting that many. So I'll put it there and just be like, we're just tracking to figure out where the heck you are. And then after
Yeah.
doing that, we do phases of 6 weeks. After 6 weeks of that, I'll take a look and I'll be like, listen, couple things going on here. One, did we track enough? Because if we're not tracking 7 days a week and putting everything in there, usually like an occasional off day is okay. But if we're averaging 6 days, it's still not enough. So if most weeks we're getting 7 days a week of tracking, then I can set a calorie goal. Because if I
Yeah.
can't, because if you don't put 7 days a week of every single thing that goes in your mouth, then a calorie goal is kind of pointless, because we're chasing this goal based on a guess and not a really good guess.
Yeah.
So we're better off just focusing on habits if that's the case, in which case we're still doing that anyway. So even while this is all going on with the calories, we work on basic stuff like getting X amount of palms of protein, putting
Yeah.
some vegetables and fruit on the plate, making sure that we're hydrating, things like that, that are just the basics that make the whole process easier. And some people don't even need to track once they get those down, because they work so well. And then
Right.
others who want to take it to that next level, they can.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. One of the things that I always find with my clients, it's interesting to see the difference between, like, sometimes the very first step is all someone needs. I constantly use this example of I had a client who pretty much, obviously we implemented a workout routine, but she was already kind of doing one. Like, it wasn't this massive change.
mhm.
We made a few tweaks to make it a little bit more healthy for a knee issue she had going on. But the one thing, she was drinking wine every night with dinner, and sometimes having one kind of after that. And so we just took that and said, all right, I said to her, hey, what would you feel comfortable going down to? Like, I'm not going to eliminate it entirely, but what would you feel comfortable going down to? And she said, I think I could do with 3 a week. It's like, okay, that's more than 50% you just cut out
Yeah,
of that. And that's, it's going to improve your recovery. It's going to, decrease significantly the number of calories you're taking in over the course of a month, over the course of a year. Like, you would be shocked how big of an impact that had. And even just that one change, she saw such a drastic change. She was able to go off of medication, lost 10 pounds, and more than 10 pounds. And then all of a sudden her knee was feeling better. It's like, there you go.
it's
All
wild
right.
when we reduce the alcohol. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it's like a miracle cure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the funny thing is um, I've experienced for myself that particular thing. So I wasn't a big drinker before at all. I would have something every now and then. But about a year ago, it's coming up on a year here soon. I had a pretty bad accident with my hand. I sliced a couple tendons in my hand, had to get reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
Lost all grip strength whatsoever. And I just told myself, of like, look, if I'm going to get this back, I can't impair my recovery at all, because anything I do is going to set me back way longer than I really want to. I'm already going to be pissed at myself for it. So I just decided, like, hey, I'm not going to drink alcohol at all. And it worked out that my wife was pregnant during, the bulk of that time. It's like, all right, let's
Works out.
just, solidarity with her. She can't drink, I can't drink. Here we go. And it turned out, 10 months after, so really just in the last 6 weeks or so, I've been able to fully regain that strength, and I'm feeling stronger than ever. So, got a nice little scar from it, but
Hey,
um,
chicks dig scars.
yeah, it's a little useless at this point, but
Yeah. It's okay. Never too late.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, it is wild, like with the hold that alcohol has on us. And I know, especially in my population, like with the peri and post menopause, like it can be an absolute game changer when you
yeah,
go from every single night to less to even completely eliminating. All of a sudden, a lot of these symptoms could potentially just disappear. Now, is it a fix
yeah,
all? No. Is it going to work for everybody? No. But for some
Right.
people, it's worth just experimenting just to see, because if it feels that good, like
Yeah.
it's going to be so much easier to stay away from it, because then you're like, I want to feel this good all the time. Like, why would I
Right.
put myself through this over and over again when I don't have to?
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah. I
think
think,
that sorry, I was just going to
go
cap
ahead.
it off with, I do
Yeah. Yeah.
think it is a good practice for some people to just try and go, if you're like an every nighter type of person, go a week or
Yeah.
two without it. And if you physically can't go without alcohol for a week or two, then that's probably a problem. And
Yeah.
honestly, no matter what we do fitness wise, if that is a issue, that's probably going to be in the way. That's like one of those cases where sometimes a coach isn't the right move. Sometimes it's a therapist that's the right move, or going to see your
Yeah.
doctor to make sure that you're on the right medications because your hormones are not in a great place, like making sure that you have other boxes checked so that all this other shit will work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great example because, you know, I think some coaches like to play the role of therapist or like to play the role of doctor, and they step outside their zone a little bit. And my clients will say this as well. I do my best to, provide the best care I can, but when those walls, start to blur a little bit, that's when I'm saying, okay, you guys need to go seek help elsewhere because this is not my role to help you with this. I'm not
Yeah.
prepared to help you with this. And you're going to be better served by someone else in seeking this. So I think that's a
Yeah.
great word of wisdom there, is just like, hey, if you can't go a couple weeks without it, you might want to seek some help
Yeah.
professionally. And that's,
True professionals know when to refer out. That's why
yeah,
when you go to the doctor and it's out of their wheelhouse, they're like, all right, you're going to go to the endocrinologist, or you're going to go to
right.
see this dermatologist. It's like, it's the same with training. Like if we're overshooting our coverage, like you need to know when to be like, listen, this is a little bit past me, but I
Yeah,
know, and then the best know a referral network of really good
right.
professionals to point you in the right direction, or have resources that will help you find it in your area. Like one of the
Yeah.
best things I just came across is the NAMS lookup, where it's basically the North American Menopause Society, and then it has a gigantic directory of all these providers that are specializing in menopause. Meanwhile, I talk to people every single day that go to their doctors and they're like, well, they just told me it's part of life. Like they just told me to like basically suck it up, and there's nothing you could do about it. But then I have other clients who see people who are actually like really well versed in this stuff, and they're talking to them about their exercise habits, about their sleep, about all these different factors that again are not super like fix alls, but at the same time, even though it's not a fix all, there is a possibility that it can help tremendously. And then if they have a referral network, like a really good personal trainer, like somebody who's certified to know kind of what's going on, then you have the perfect mesh of professionals right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good note, because I think oftentimes so many people, they want to kind of hold on to their people, and I think also, like, I'll use this example. I've worked kind of in tandem with, one of my clients. She has a really good chiropractor, and we've kind of worked in tandem to support her because of her, she's had multiple surgeries throughout her life. Very just a really difficult story in terms of where she started. A lot, her the way she was born, her doctor had to recreate a hip socket for her because she was born without one.
Wow.
So if you can imagine that, that sets you up for a really difficult time in terms of walking, falling, your spine, your hip, your knee, ankle, all of it. And so we've been slowly but surely kind of like throughout the last couple of years reworking things and trying to get things that they're moving a little bit more fluidly, even after a couple of spinal fusions and multiple surgeries. So it's like, all right, we're going to do what we can within reason, and then when the body uh, revolts against what we're trying to do, then we know, okay, maybe we pushed a little too far.
Yeah.
And she's a good sport and knows her pain levels really well. She's dealt with it all her life. So, the two of us are able to serve her better than one or the other. And she also has a great massage therapist that she goes to. And that's another, great example of someone who is really beneficial to either of those two disciplines.
Yeah. And I think how you said she knows like her pain, that also
Yeah,
helps too, because like we're experts in what we know should work and other people are experts in what they know, but everybody's an expert in how they feel. And when they can
yeah,
communicate, this feels this way when I do this or that, we just help connect the dots and give it a name or give it a whatever's going on. And then together, no doubt you're going to find a really good solution or a really good plan.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Bryan, I think we're coming up on our time. I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you coming on today. Where can people find you if they're looking for you, man?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like, I wish we had more time, but
Yeah,
because I could definitely rant on this stuff for another 30 minutes to an hour. But if you guys want to listen to my rants, then you can find me. Number one place is my Facebook group, the Fit 40 Family. And I'm also on Instagram at coach_FITZZ. And and I have my own podcast too, the Fit 40 podcast, where got to
there you
have
go.
Jackson on sometime soon because we got to continue this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, definitely shorter than we'd like it to be, but for circumstances, just for today. Hope you guys found this helpful, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, we got some good